Chapter 19. Deirdre arrived bright and early the following week. Don had arranged for an interview at his house while the boys were at school. The reporter was wearing a black top and skirt with a bright red jacket. She looked awful. "Would you like some coffee?" he asked her pleasantly as they sat in the living room, just in front of the fireplace. "No, thank you," she replied, scanning the room. "You have a wonderful home." Don looked up. "The ceiling is so high, it sometimes makes me feel very small." He looked back at her. "Does it have the same effect on you?" She cleared her throat nervously and looked to her left. "Oh, I can see right through the fireplace. What's that room back there?" "My office." "Looks cozy." She took out an audio recorder and a notebook. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me," she said after pressing the record button. "What changed your mind?" "I got tired of you harassing my family." Deirdre immediately stopped the recording and chuckled. "I was expecting a clever response from a writer." "Any other response would have been fiction." She kept her finger poised on the record button. "Are we going to have a serious interview, or am I being had?" "I'm very serious," Don said simply. The reporter looked at him. Don didn't know what his face looked like at that moment, but it must have looked strange. He was glad it gave the woman pause, but he didn't want to overdo it. He didn't want her knowing about the curse. Deirdre hesitated a moment longer, and then pressed the button to begin recording again. "So, Mr. Scott, it's great seeing you looking healthy so soon after your vicious attack," she said in a clear, jovial voice. "How are you feeling?" "I'm well, Deirdre, thank you." He decided to play along for now. "You're notorious for shunning interviews and keeping your private life, well, private. Why decide to speak now?" "Because, after all that's happened lately, I figured my fans were worried about my safety, possibly even wondering if someone was out to get me. I hear that's a popular theory floating around. I just wanted to set the record straight." "And what is the truth?" she asked. "That no one is out to get me or my family." "But all these attacks—" "I'll admit this all does seem strange, but I can assure you and everyone that I am not being targeted specifically. There's just some crazy person in the woods behind my house who keeps attacking anyone he comes across." Don laughed. Deirdre did not. "Mr. Scott, as most of us are aware, your brother Ethan was murdered over 15 years ago." It came so unexpectedly that Don could not catch a breath. He coughed. "Yes?" "Well, according to police reports, the killer was never found. No leads, no evidence pointing to his or her identity." Don's heart hammered. "Yes?" "Do you think, perhaps, the person who killed your brother is after you, too?" He laughed again. "You know, I never once thought of that." "Do you ever wonder what you would do if you met your brother's killer?" "He is me," Don thought. He said, "I try not to go down that path." "You must still be angry about what happened." Damn, this bitch was relentless. "Very angry," he replied. "Every time I think about it, I get sick to my stomach, but I can't change the past." Deirdre narrowed her eyes for a moment. "What made you want to become an author?" She's changing tactics, Don realized. She'll come back to Ethan when I least expect it. "Well, I was fond of books as a kid, and I had a story I wanted to tell." "About brothers?" Deirdre cocked an eyebrow. He cleared his throat. "It seemed easier than writing about sisters," he joked. "Were the characters based on you and your brother Ethan?" Don's palms grew sweaty. Loosely. Some had theorized that the book, about two brothers, one cursed by a demon, is autobiographical. Also, that the cursed brother was modeled after Ethan. Dawn said nothing. In the book, the reporter continued, the brothers find a cure for the curse. She left the sentence hanging. Dawn's heart was racing uncomfortably. A happy ending if I ever heard one, he finally said. And you started the book after your brother's death? That's right. Deirdre tapped her pen on her notebook quickly. Dawn's heart matched the beat. Where did you get the idea for the curse? She asked after a moment. I wanted to give the characters something to fight against, together. But why a curse? Why not a disease or an abusive parent? The curse was a disease, in a way. I've never encountered an abusive parent. My parents were wonderful. So, you've encountered a curse? That was exactly why Dawn had not wanted to talk to this woman. He couldn't end the interview now, though. It would look suspicious. My grandfather once told me about a curse when I was 5. He told her truthfully. The story stuck with me through the years. Deirdre looked interested. What did the curse entail? It made its victims want to do bad things. Like murder? Among other things. And where did your grandfather hear this terrifying tale? I have no idea. And that was the truth. Grandpa had told Dawn the story the night Mom became cursed. He'd told Dawn to keep an eye on his mother and to report any strange happenings. Grandpa died before Dawn could tell him anything. Deirdre stopped the recorder and said, I would like to talk to you off the record. Fine. Why did you lie about your whereabouts the night your neighbor was killed? You know why. Because you were with a prostitute at a motel in Arlington? Seems like a good reason to keep quiet, don't you think? I suppose so. Was this interview all you hoped it would be? Dawn smiled a wolf's smile. And then some, Deirdre said as she collected her belongings. You know, there's another popular theory floating around about your brother's death. Is that so? Some people think you are the one who killed him. Dawn's heart nearly stopped. That's preposterous, he said, trying to sound offended. Just passing along the theory, she said casually as she headed for the front door. Dawn followed. And just who are these people coming up with these ridiculous, hurtful theories? He asked heatedly. Deirdre turned to him and said, Me.